Hello students, welcome to my Abhyas. My name is Sahana KS and I'm your physics educator. So we were discussing about electric charges and field, which was the first chapter, and we are discussing the topics based on that chapters. So in the last session, I had said you about the electric charges, the definition of electric charges, and also some of the topics which are pertaining to electric charges, such as Coulomb's law, right, which is very important, and I hope you people remember the statement. So the statement is nothing but the force between two charges is directly proportional to the product of the magnitude of the charges, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So here we have the force between two charges, that is F is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square, where Q1 and Q2 are the charges and R is the distance between the charges. So based on that, we came to some of the conclusions, like how it is depicted in a vector form. So when it is taken in a vector form, we get a unit vector, that is F vector equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square into R unit vector, that is R cap. Similarly, we will be finding out in this session the forces between multiple charges. Clear? And after that, we'll be discussing very interesting topics based on this. Okay, so coming to the first thing, now we'll be finding out the forces between multiple charges. So forces between multiple charges in the sense what? In the last session, I had discussed about the force by only one charge, okay, or due to a point charge, right? So now we'll be doing with the forces between multiple charges. So here you have one topic that you have to remember, that is superposition principle. So what is it? It is superposition principle. So what is the superposition principle? First thing is, we have a charge, okay. So when I consider a charge, we know that it influences another charge because of its positivity or any type of negativity, right? Similarly, when I consider two charges here, okay, so when I consider two charges, see here I have Q2 and here I have Q3, okay, or else I'll be considering, in this case I'll be considering Q2 and Q1 first. So the force between these two charges is given by what? Because Q2 exerts force on Q1, right? So as Q2 exerts force on Q1, there is a force liberated. So that force is nothing but we get here, which is F12, right? So what is F12? F12 is the force from the first charge by the second charge. That is the force exerted on the first charge by the second charge, and that is given by again Coulomb's law, right? Next, now what I'll do is, when there are two charges, I'll bring another charge to the existence, that is I'll bring Q3. So once I bring Q3, what happens? This Q3 again exerts force on Q1, and that force is given by what? F13. Okay, so these are all in the vector form. Remember this, everything is in vector. So Q3 is exerting force on Q1, then what happens? The force is called as F13, that is force on the first charge by the third charge. So what is happening here? When I bring this Q3 charge into the space, that is when I bring it into the influence of Q1, so that is not disturbing this Q2 and Q1, right? The force between Q2 and Q1 is not disturbed by the charge Q3. So that is why what we say is, we say it as a superposition principle. So what is superposition principle is, whenever you bring a charge, okay, into the existence or vicinity of another charge, the force is individually independent. That is, here if you have Q1 and Q2, Q2 is exerting force on Q1, and that force I call it as F12 vector. And next I'll bring a Q3 charge. When I bring a Q3 charge, what is happening? This charge is getting or is exerting force on Q1, and that charge or that force I call it as F13. So now what is happening here? This F13 is independent, right? And this F12 is also independent. This is not getting affected by F13 or the force by the third charge on the first charge. So this we call it as what? Superposition principle. So now we will be applying the Coulomb's law. So the Coulomb's law will be first applied for Q1 and Q2, and later it will be applied by Q1 and Q3, and we will see what will be getting the expression for the force between the multiple charges. So coming to Coulomb's law in the first case, here what do I have? I have F1, 2, okay, vector this is, and here I have a force by Q1. Clear? So this I have to find out, that I'll just take it as FA or F resultant. Clear? So F A vector is equal to, from Coulomb's law, or I'll just take the first force, that is F12 I take. So F12 vector is given by what? It is given by 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1, and which charge is influencing it? It is influenced by Q2 charge. So Q2 divided by R12 square, clear, into R12 vector. Okay, so this I am writing it in the vector form because we have to find this force in the vector form itself. Clear? Next, in the second case, F13 is equal to what? 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1. So Q1 and Q3. So Q1, Q3 divided by R13 square, R13 cap. Clear? So now next what I have to do? I have to find out the resultant, or I have to find out the superposition principle. That is nothing but the force. F will be equal to what? The forces F12 plus F13 plus so on till F1n. Right? So this n will be changing because the charges may be in number of charges, like infinite number of charges may be there. So that is why we take in a certain place, that is to put an n, we take it as n. Okay. So when I just put this formula in this, what do I get? So I get the resultant force, that is the forces between the multiple charge, as 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. I'll take common from both the cases, and what remains inside is Q1 Q2 divided by R12 square into R12 cap plus Q1 Q3 divided by R13 square, R13 cap. Okay, plus so on till, see here, Q1 has been constant in both the cases. Then obviously in the last case also Q1 will be constant because we are taking the charge Q1 here. So as we are taking the charge Q1, all the charges are exerting force on that Q1. Clear? So that happens to be what? Q1 Qn divided by R1n square into R1n cap. Clear? So from this, what I can depict is, from this I can say that the last factor is nothing but a n factor where I can replace any number of charges. So now I need the final resultant. So to have the final resultant, what I'll do, I'll take F vector is equal to, okay, summation 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught summation of I is equal to 1 to n I'll put. Okay, so once I put I is equal to 1 to n number, then I can just write Q1. So here Q1 will be common because in all the cases Q1 is common. So Q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught summation of I equal to 1 to n Qi. Okay, Qi is nothing but which is changing. Okay, divided by R1i square into R into 1i cap. So this is the formula for the force between the multiple charges. So what is happening here? F is equal to Q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught is common in all the cases because all the charges are exerting force on the charge Q1. So in all the cases Q1 will be common. So take Q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught common. Then summation of I equal to 1 to n, that is given by Qi divided by R1i square into R1i cap. So this is the expression for forces between the multiple charges. Moving on to the next concept, after finding out the expression for forces between the multiple charges, now we will do we will find out what is the electric field exactly, and we also will study what are electric lines of force. So coming to the first one, what is the electric field? So for example, you are playing cricket. So once you are playing cricket, you have certain terms and conditions for that, right? If the ball is outside the boundary, it is 4 or 6. But if it is inside the boundary, it depends on the runs which are made by the batsman, right? So similarly, what we have here is, in the electric field, what happens? There is a vicinity, or there is a surface. Okay, when I bring one charge towards the other, the charges influence both, that is, the charges are exerting force on each other. Clear? So here we'll be learning about how does the force depend and what is the intensity, that is the electric intensity, whether the force will be high, which type of force it is, whether it is a repulsive force or whether it is a attractive force, that we'll find out. Clear? So here, coming to the first one, we have the definition of electric field. So coming to the definition of electric field, what I'll do is, first I'll give you an example. So the example is, consider this a surface, okay, a conductor. So when I consider a conductor here, there is a charge here. Okay, for example, this is a charge. So I'll name it as Q. That is plus Q, I'll name it. Next, I'll bring another charge in the same conductor. Okay, so that I'll just name it as Q1 plus Q1. So what is happening? This I am bringing it nearer. So as I bring it nearer, what is happening? This is exerting force on this. Right? Which type of force? As they both are positive and positive, which type of force will come? Repulsive force. Right? So what is electric field then? How can you define electric field in such cases? So electric field is nothing but when you bring an electrical charge in under the influence of another charge, the force is getting exerted. Clear? That we call it as an electric field. That is, it is made up of complete electric charges. The electric field is nothing but it is a group of electric charges where you have certain type of force, in simple words. But coming to the statement, exactly what is electric field? Electric field is nothing but it is due to a charge, that is due to a charge or a point charge, the space is defined as the force that a unit positive charge would experience if placed at that point. For example, if I bring this here somewhere, okay, this is experiencing certain force, right? So what is that type of force we call? That is nothing but we call it as an electric field. Clear? What is electric field? Electric field, E is defined, that is with to a point charge, is defined as the space, as the force that a unit positive charge would experience if placed at that point. Clear? So then the SI unit is Newton per Coulomb and the alternating SI unit is volt per meter. So these both, that is Newton per Coulomb and volt per meter, accordingly which they'll ask you, that you have to answer. Like if in numericals, if they give you in terms of volt per meter, then you have to give the answer or the result by volt per meter. If they give you like the question, if they give you in terms of Newton per Coulomb, then the answer should be through the terms of Newton per Coulomb. Clear? So then we have the dimensional formula mLT raised to minus 3 a raised to minus 1. So here another two concepts come which is very important. Okay, so what are those two concepts? So while considering the charges, what I do is I use two main important terms. So what are those terms? One is the test charge and another one is the source charge. So what are those two important factors? One is the source charge. Okay, and another second one is which one? It is the test charge.